that I think brings up a conversation probably that, it's good to have that when you do have friends, and we were talking about like the groups and separating sometimes the groups, it's because, and in addition to what we were just mentioning beforehand, was that putting a friend in a position where they might be uncomfortable. I think that may happen sometimes when it comes to couples and your single friends, is that um, sometimes people, and many times people do feel left out or a certain way when they're in a situation where there are all couples. And I would never want to put anybody in that position to feel uncomfortable or or certain sadness or anything because they're sitting around a bunch of couples when they're not with a couple, they're not a couple, you know what I'm saying, or they're single.
Hi, everyone. Let's start healing. I'm Adrienne Murchison, and welcome to the Let's Start Healing podcast. We have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can indeed change the world. It has been a minute since I have been with you. Life has been a whirlwind, and I am back with a sweet episode that in which I am talking with my returning guest and close friend, Lanada Chanel Duncan. And we talk about friendship and the healing power of friendship. And this was important for me to have a conversation around because I, like many people, have been going through some unusual times, sometimes difficult times, unexpected things have come up. And, that can happen to us in life. Have you ever had a time where you're just moving along and then it's like bam, 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 bam. And you're like, what the what? Has that ever happened to you? And what gets you through? For me, it is my faith in spirituality, and I'm sure that's true for many of you as well. And it is also the people around us, the people who offer us support, emotional support, letting us know that they are there for us. And that it has been incredible for me, very tender, sweet ways to share a little of what has gone on in a very short period of time. I already did in a previous episode mention that I went through a breakup. At the time that I went through that breakup, I had also just found out that I was being laid off from my main job. And I also was experiencing the loss of a family member. And I was just talking about this, how when this first happened, because all of this happened was going on in 1 week. I had been out of town. I went to Amsterdam. I mentioned that in the past and came back home and then got this phone call from my boss, my then boss, who said, oh, we're going to have this meeting and I need you to come to this meeting. And I find out, what's going on at work. And then the breakup and the loss in the family of a very uh, elderly, wonderful, wonderful cousin. But my friends were saying with the layoff, wow, you're really taking this, well. And with the breakup at the same time, you're really taking this well. And then all of a sudden, it just hit me. And that was when my cousin passed. And I was leaving after she passed. I was leaving uh, where she was at the nursing home, and I was just in my car, and I was driving home. It was like a Thursday or Friday morning. I think it was a Thursday morning, and I just broke down. Just broke down, just because that loss was bringing up other losses in terms of family members passing, and it was such a beautiful experience uh, to be with my cousins, her children, her adult children, to be with them in her final days. When I say a beautiful experience, it was such an honor to experience the transition of someone's life in their final days. And I had experienced losses before. I wasn't there when she passed, but I had been there when my mother passed, when my brother passed, and my grandmother passed. And so having experienced these different events and seeing this in a new way was an honor to see and to experience. And it was also emotional. And so that compounded with the other things, it was just tough. And my friends have just come out of the woodwork knowing one thing or another that's been going on and just been just tenderhearted in their sweetness, just tenderhearted. And that has been what has propelled me up. And it's such an awareness of how important it is for us to offer that to each other, to just let people know, I see you, I'm here for you. A call to let someone know that we're thinking about them, to ask them, how are you doing? And, when let them know that we know they are going through a difficult time. Uh, how often has that been important to you when someone sends you a text message at the perfect time that speaks to what you're going through? You get the phone call at the perfect time, just what you needed. It's so important. And that's uh, some of what I have gotten from my friends and family and family members. And so with Lanada and I, we are just like sisters in the sense of when we start talking, it is like we'll be like, no, you're this way. No, you're this way. But we really have a really good time getting insight from each other. And I wanted to share this conversation with you. So let's get to it. Let's meet Lanada and let's start healing. Welcome, Lanada.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, people should know we've been talking for like 40 minutes before we record. And
Well, that was just the getting warmed up.
exactly, exactly. And the She Cave Lady, hashtag She Cave Lady on your t-shirt is speaking to your BE Decors interior design business.
Mhm.
And how is business? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Again, it's really nice to kind of come back and have a fun discussion and, be casual and, talk to a friend and just kind of let our hair down. So this is pretty cool. Things are good. I can't complain. Year was a little bit slow. So I was a little bit, nervous up and down. It comes and goes, but it's been slower. It's been slower everywhere this year. So it's just made me kind of want to, look at different ways to make sure that my business is kind of hitting the marks that I want to hit, reaching for, I guess, those heights that I want to reach for, and just continuing to appeal to the type of audience that I want to appeal to and the type of clients that I want. So it's just allowed me, it's been time that I've been using kind of to get more creative with the business and make sure I'm still generating revenue, but in the, elevating the brand, so to speak, as well.
So what kind of clients do you want to attract, and are you attracting? Like, how, in what ways are you discerning about this is where I am and that's not where I am?
Well, I really do like working with, there's no particular age group necessarily. So I don't think that it has much to do with that. So, I've worked this year with actually more young adults that have gotten their first home. So first home buyers were kind of my clientele for this year. And in the past, where I've worked more with my clients have been people that have had their homes for some time, and just kind of wanted to do some sprucing up or some redesigns, things like that. Work with some pieces that they already had. So this year, it's allowed me to kind of just work with spaces that are very much more also blank and kind of use some more creativity. So that's been great. But as far as I think, it relates to that my passion for wanting to work with people that really do want to see or have their home spaces appeal to them on a holistic perspective. So really, in a holistic way, I should say. So they're wanting to have those spaces that they really do feel their home feels like it's a retreat for them. So they're into creating that type of environment in their outdoor living. They're into creating that type of environment in in every particular area of their houses. So I've done some webinars this year, so that's been good for others. And I'm really wanting to do more of that as well, where I talk about some of the benefits of these things. Did a couple of podcasts where I've talked about that too in the past few months. But it's just been great to kind of share the knowledge and share some of the benefits of creating these types of spaces. So I think it's more so working with people that really, too, that passion of having that kind of space meets with my passion of wanting to design them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you really stay connected to what your passion is and who you want to serve in your business. And with the ups and downs of this year, how has your spirituality tied in with that? I know you're a very faithful spiritual person. How does that tie in?
I think I've just really had to just rely more heavily on my faith. I think, in a nutshell, that's really it. Is that's trusting God, trusting this. I know we hear this cliche of trust the process all the time, but I've really had to do more of that because I feel like He has put me in a position where I am able to do what I love to do. And I feel like it blesses others. The talent that I have, and the experience that I have, the skills that I have, it does bless others to enjoy their homes more. And I just know that He would not have given this to me or these opportunities and all of this to me without providing the clientele, the additional experiences that I need, the knowledge that I need, the resources that I need. So I think it has built my trust. And it's been a quiet trust. It's not one that I've been talking so much about. It's just been one that internally I'm just trusting God. Every time I sit down at my desk in the morning and get started with my day, I have my to-do list, I have my things that I need to do, but it's been a total trust in God. I'm trusting God that the day is going to provide what it needs to provide. I'm trusting God that the week's going to provide. Every time I get in my car, that the experience or go to an event, that I'm going to make a connection that I need that's valuable, not just any connection, but one that leads to other building, strong connections and relationships. So it's been a quiet trust.
That's really beautiful.
Mm,
I mean, it's saying so much.
thank
You just said it. And that he's going to provide with the resources, with the clients, whatever you need to, for this business.
you. Absolutely.
Yeah. We are going to be talking about friendship, and I'm so happy that we are, because you're one of my friends that really just brings a joy to my heart, because we always start laughing, or I'll mess with you, or you'll mess
Ditto.
with me.
Yeah, I know. That's why He put us together
Yes, yes, yes.
to
And
bring joy to one
yeah,
another's life.
yes, and something you were saying had before we got online
Hmm.
was, it had me thinking of something that my nephew has said, I think. My girlfriend Tanya, who has said, and that is, like, some people have enough friends.
Hmm.
They're like, I'm good. I don't need any more friends. And I'm not like that. I'm like, I'm always open to
The
new
more the
people,
merrier.
but
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
understand. Well, I'm not closed,
yeah.
but I know of other people, as I've mentioned, where they're like, I'm good. I don't need more people in my circle.
Mhm.
And so I kind of understand that, but at the same time, my friends have really just been so tender with
Yeah.
me over
Yeah.
the last month that friends and family, I should say,
Okay.
that I
Mhm.
just love. I really love my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know what you mean. I'm probably in the middle of that, while I don't feel like I don't need more friends because I'm always meeting new people, and then I walk away feeling like, oh, I got a new friend. That's cool,
Yeah.
friends or whatever. But I don't feel like I need a lot of friends. I don't feel like that I should stop making friends or anything like that. But I also don't feel like, oh, I want to go and make more friends, more friends. I just feel like it's one of those situations where, like, I have friends I have not seen in years. But if we saw each other tomorrow, like I have a friend in Vegas. I haven't seen her since the last time I've been to Vegas. And before that, I hadn't seen her since probably high school, like years. But when we saw each other in Vegas, it was like we never missed a day, never missed a beat. So, I think that those two, we can't forget people like that. Now, I also feel like, when I have my sister friends, and, I have a group here and a group there, and I don't necessarily always create things where I bring them all together, but I have friends that I'm close to, but I want to make time for seeing them, and I don't feel like I do that enough. So, and sometimes when you have all these friends, all this other situation, some people have vibes and carry certain types of whatever that you can't bring them all together. So having groups of friends might be good because you don't want the vibes over here to mix with the vibes over here because they may not mix or gel well. And you just don't want to
Definitely.
bring that kind of drama into your sisterhood sometimes. Now we know friends, people that are close to us that, they have their tribes, and the bigger their tribe, the better. And it's beautiful. But I just think that sometimes, as women, you know how we get. And we carry personalities that sometimes don't mix with other personalities. And so you just have to be careful. But
Yeah.
when it's not like, I mean, that's just true. We
Yeah.
are all a certain age or whatever, but some personalities don't mix.
Because I like to bring up, I don't know if you remember this, I like to bring up this birthday dinner you had, and I thought I was having a good time.
She said, I thought I was.
I thought I was having a good time. This was in Decatur.
So somebody said something that took you off your high.
Yeah, we were talking about, I don't know if they were talking about education or something, and then we went to take a photo, and one of your friends said, "Well, that's your friend," something. I don't know what I said, and your friend was like, "Well, that's your friend." Like, and I was like, What did I say? I didn't even say anything." It was like I was so lost.
Oh,
I was so lost because everything was just like so cool, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, well, I guess
But see,
I don't vibe with everybody. Meaning I don't
that's
vibe
the
with
point.
everybody. Like they don't receive everybody doesn't
Don't
receive
receive
me.
you. There you go. I
Yeah,
think that's a good point.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
kind of, while I tend to not, I don't spend a lot of time with people that aren't nice people. Let me just say that. Meaning, and
Yeah.
by that I mean I don't spend a lot of time with people that tend to have drama in their lives on a constant. I may know you, hey girl, that kind of thing is high and by, but I'm not going to bring you into a circle where we are around other friends of mine and that kind of thing because I already know you about that drama and I don't do that, right? So, in other words, I said that to say, if someone says something like that and we're in a circle, they one may not mean anything like personal about it. They may just be playing or whatever. I'm hoping that's the case because if I sense
She
that
wasn't playing.
she wasn't playing, well, you know what? You must have been rubbing somebody doing some of your eclectic stuff. I
I
just
wasn't
kidding.
even I don't know. Whatever I
Or she
said,
could have had a bad vibe on her that day. It could have been
maybe.
anything.
Whatever I said, I know it was very minimal.
But that could be the key. Like you just said, everybody's a little different. Now, I feel like I'm a person that can vibe in any kind of circle. For
Yes,
me,
you
it don't
can.
really matter like what kind of what's the situation going on. The tribe can be as big as whatever. I'm still gonna be me,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna be whatever. And when I sense that someone may be receiving me wrong, I'm probably gonna just lay back for a moment until you get that I'm not who you see I am. And you kind of, and if you don't get that, then all right, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, anyway,
Yeah. I have a lot of different friends,
you do.
very, very different personalities,
You do.
so I do in different spirits. Nobody's dramatic though.
I
I can
agree.
think
I
of.
agree. No
And
one's dramatic.
maybe
Yeah.
one, but she's calmed down in her
Look, we both went, wait a minute. But I mean, you have friends in your circle that it's like we got somebody for everything. You know what I'm saying? It's such a experience
Yeah.
because every you got a different experience with almost everybody. When we went like not long ago, we all went to, or a few of us got together and we went to dinner.
Yes. Yes.
And I mean, you could literally pick a different vibe or a different kind of personality from everybody that
Yes.
was at that table, right?
For sure.
But at
Like,
the end
it
of
was
the
like
day,
maybe 7, 6
7, 8 of us,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, from the hypest to the, more
Right.
down low or low keyed, and the one that's more, introspective,
Yeah.
someone just kind of it's quiet, or it's just, but
We all had a good time.
we had a
And
great time, and
yeah,
we all respect one another's
yeah.
different personality.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's that. And even though we can all sit there and be like, girl, that's your friend over there acting like that. You know what I'm saying? We could say that, and it's not
Yeah.
anything taking away from that and a negative feeling about it.
Yeah.
We'll laugh about it.
I
But it's
love
different when you're with someone who you don't know. You're in a circle where you're with your friend, and then she has other friends and they don't know you. So, like you said, the person may not have known you to say that's who she is.
maybe. I don't know. But no, I did just meet her that day, but my thing was, it wasn't even whatever I said, it was just not
Yeah.
like I was talking, like, going, explaining anything, and then somebody could say that, but it doesn't matter, but I just always remember it.
So what about you, Bill? You said that you don't you are you in the middle, or do you want to, you said the more the merrier. Where are you
Um,
with friendship?
I think that I'm always open. I like people, and I'm
Mhm.
always open, but, I don't know. I don't know. It's not like I'm going out looking for friends, I don't
Mhm.
think that I need any more friends, but
Mhm.
um I'm not gonna reject anyone, but when I connect with someone, I don't always connect with people.
Okay.
So, if I do connect with someone, then it's usually real and lasting,
Got it.
something beyond an acquaintance.
Well,
So,
what do you think makes a friend? Would you describe a friend? Now we
gosh,
have acquaintances and we have, what do you think a friend is, and how is it different than from just an
I
acquaintance?
think, it's funny. I said to somebody earlier today, "I consider you a friend." And
Mhm.
I don't normally say that. I don't know if I've ever said that to anybody before. And you could say we're acquaintances. I know
Mhm.
this person through the work I was doing, and I said, "I consider you a friend." And I think it's because a level of trust has been established because
Mhm.
I met her through my work.
Okay.
And so it's not like I said, like, we haven't hung out and gone out for lunch or gone out for a drink or anything like that. So, I think it's feeling a connection. It could be feeling a connection and there's a level of trust, like, okay, you're not a trip. You're not gonna say A and do B. Or if that does happen, then I know that it wasn't intentional or something
Okay.
like that. And
Okay.
then, other times it could just be a matter of time, and I definitely think it's about who you are. You can't walk around here lying and
Mhm.
think that you've made a friend.
Mhm. Mhm.
You have to have some integrity about you.
Okay.
And then it's about being thoughtful, with each other, and different thoughtfulness for different people looks
It looks
different.
different.
It can look
Mhm.
different, but
Mhm.
having some level of thoughtfulness and, camaraderie.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
How about you?
Uh, Everything basically that you said. One thing you said I will circle, which is the trust. We've reached a point where there's some level of trust. Because an acquaintance or someone you even see, but you guys, you just, it's a high and by. You may joke around, you may say something, you may talk business, you may not. You know, doesn't necessarily mean you trust the person or there's any trust there necessarily. I think, when I consider someone a friend, like you just said, there is some level of trust there. Okay, I may not give you the keys to my house, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? Or have you come check in on my pet, when I'm gone or something like that. But I still trust you with my feelings, my thoughts, something like that, some level of it. Whereas there are good friends, what we've established, you and I, over the years, we have a trust level where we share things that are intimate, that are, that are, more personal, things like that. That's a certain level of trust. So those are different types, a serious level of friendship there. Whereas I do have friends where I won't necessarily have those discussions with, but I still consider them a friend.
Yeah.
So I think, the trust thing is definitely a huge part of it for me to say that's what that person is. Um, yeah, I think that's the foundation of it for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I have to say, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because, in the last month, I've had a lot of changes in my life,
Hmm.
and and I haven't shared all of them, um, openly, like, like, and friends know, but I haven't, like, posted, about A, B, C, D, and E,
Right.
but, uh, a lot of things happened at one time, and I have a lot of, sensibilities about, for me,
Hmm.
why they had to happen at one time, from
Yeah.
a God perspective.
Yeah.
But I had, a breakup, my job ended, a family member passed away, and I was there, for that,
Hmm.
you know, um, and I got sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got sick.
Right.
And in the beginning, I mean, literally this now, I guess it's been 5 weeks, or because this happened like middle of, July. In the beginning, the first couple of days, um, people were like, a couple of people I was talking to, they were like, "Well, you really sound good, and you don't sound like," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. I'm just accepting what is."
Yeah.
And then it just started hitting me. And then they were like, "Yeah, you were in shock," you know? But what I'm trying to get to is the love that
Hmm.
I have gotten from my friends, including you, has just it's just been, and I should say family too. I don't want to leave family out of
Yeah.
this,
Yeah. Of course.
but it's just been very touching.
Hmm.
It's it's been very, very touching. And one of the people I want to mention is, my friend Rhoda, who you know very well,
Hmm.
and just very, like, checking on me. And um I went over to her house, "If you just wanna come over,
Yeah.
and, just hang out." And then I did go over there because another friend of ours, Gia,
Hmm.
massage, therapist, practitioner, Thai yoga massage practitioner, was
Uh-huh.
in town and was, doing her massages and offered us both, you a free massage, me a free massage. So I went over there. She was staying with Rhoda, and so she gave me an hour massage, and in the living room, in Rhoda's living room.
Yeah.
Then, something was on, politics was on. Oh, I think it was when Biden was, giving his speech that
Hmm.
he was gonna not run again after
Hmm.
all. And so, we're watching that, and just when I was just sitting down on the couch, I just felt like just so comfort and love, you know? Like,
Absolutely.
"Come over here more. She's inviting me over
Right.
because I feel like the love and the comfort,
Connection, right.
and
Yeah.
it's just meant, um, the thoughtfulness
Yeah.
it just really fills me up. Yesterday, and this was a family member
Mhm.
who we just met in like 2017.
Mhm.
And we don't she lives here in Atlanta, but we don't talk a lot. We don't see each other,
Mhm.
really. We see each other on social media. And she sent me this beautiful text message, just, "You've been on my heart. God led me to send this to you." And she just had like these words, a couple of lines that apply to my, experience right now. And then she sent me some links to these two gospel songs that, apply to my experience right now. And it was just, to wake up in the morning and see that, is just,
Yeah.
and I just
It's good
want to
to
show
know
up like that
someone's
for you
thinking
guys.
about. Yeah,
Would you say?
yeah.
Would you say?
I think it's good too just to know someone is thinking about you and cares enough to just, take a moment and reach out and for you to know that they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you need it.
Yeah. My Tanya, I just came back from her daughter's wedding,
Mhm.
and everything leading up to the wedding, you know how that must
That was
be.
good, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything, but she's calling me, checking on me, "How you doing? How you doing?" All before, the wedding. Well, she's got better things to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I just sometimes I appreciate the people that, I have in my life, and,
Yeah.
friends are huge. Friends
Absolutely.
are huge.
Well, you have good friends, like you said. I mean, you definitely have a great family unit, and I think that's beautiful and needed too. Um, but for the most part, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but you have such a good, close friendship knit. Friends, a knit of friends that sometimes they feel like family too. They are your sisters,
Yeah.
honestly. We are, like that, a serious sisterhood. And it's not just in the word, but it's, I think, in the way that we act or be there for each other.
Mhm.
I love it when there's an extension of a sisterhoods that just connect in different ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because over the years we've kind of we feel that it's almost like I can meet a friend through you and they become a friend too, and then I can
Exactly.
call them and it's like actually you've been that in so many ways, like the cornerstone of many different sisterhoods that have grown from that. That's true,
Yeah.
which and their evidence of that is like you just said, the I think you get back certain things that become the evidence of that, of you being a good friend too. So that's too probably something that's good to hit on. You're a good friend when other people can make great connections even through you, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is my person. I think so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How
No,
how do
I
you know
appreciate.
you're a good friend to people? Other people are making great connections through you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
didn't have that
definitely.
connection before. And I can't even count on a hand, two hands, how many friends I've made just from knowing you. And
Mhm.
I consider them friends today. I
Mhm.
think Jazz, Cheryl, Teresa, Nikki,
Mhm, mhm.
Parrish, and
Yeah.
I could just keep
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
where if you're not around, we still friends. Gia, you know what I mean? Gia, and
Mhm.
she's a good friend to this day. So it's just so many friendships that have grown out of that friendship with you. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. I've brought this up before about how I had a friend, and I think I've talked to you about it. I had a friend who she's passed away,
Hmm.
and I met her through Gia and Rhoda, actually, and I just felt like I wasn't really there for
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
And she had cancer, but she didn't die of cancer.
yeah.
And but I didn't know she had cancer. And I was
Mm-hmm.
working so much, and we would get together, but she wanted to get together much more than we did. But I
Hmm.
was just so busy with work.
Right.
And
Wow.
when I found out that she had passed away and that she had been sick, and I just I was just like, wow, she might have told me if
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
a better friend. She might have told me. And it just really struck me. But then I thought, well, I'm going to try to be a better friend.
yeah.
And this was like 10 years ago. And
Yeah.
then I was like, wow, that's a lot of work. You know, isn't it a lot of work to try to show up for all
For
your
a friend, yeah. Oh my God,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a
So
part
that
of life.
it's funny that you bring that up because I was thinking, and that's something I think that's key too to what we're talking about because it's like, oh, yeah, it's like it's good to know that one, you have other legs of friendships, right? And so, because I can't be there for everything, Tiny can't be there for everything. So and so, a lot of people, we can't be there for everything all the time, or I should say, all the time, or we're there at different moments when needed. And it's good to know that you have a sisterhood to rely on. And not just you, but we all do, that everyone does have a sisterhood to rely on, and everyone can play their part at the time. So there's no guilt for not being able to be there when, we want to be, but sometimes you can't be, right? So it's just, even for the friend with cancer, it's just good to feel like, one, you wanted to be there, and hopefully that she had other legs, but or of friendships that could support her through, because that is a horrible thing to go through, and no one should go through that alone. No one should go through such
Yeah,
a
yeah.
battle alone.
And she I don't know that she was receiving treatment necessarily, but
Right.
she had definitely been diagnosed with it and was dealing with it, but she was
Yeah,
a holistic person.
I
That's
see.
why I said I don't know if she was receiving treatment, but the fact that she had cancer and,
Mm.
this was in her life,
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
going on, and she
Mm.
didn't share that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's saying something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's saying something.
So I wonder if, for the sake of listeners, we could break down um, something like, I don't know, break down some things more about, like, one, there could be people that don't feel like they don't know how to make friends. Maybe they're listening and they're like, do I have any, or how do I make friends? Maybe I'm new to the area, or just, whatever situation they're in. Maybe they lost a friend and they want to reconnect or something like that. I mean, do we have any experiences or things that we could share that may be helpful for someone like that
Yeah,
in that
because I
situation?
think I think there was a time when I felt like I didn't have, uh, friends. Like, I have lifelong friends
Hmm.
that don't live in Atlanta,
Okay.
the city that I'm in, but I think there was a time when I felt like, "God, I wish I had more friends." And, like,
Hmm.
you make friends easily, Tanya makes friends easily.
Hmm.
You guys have that kind of personality. I don't necessarily have that kind of personality, and so it
I
was
disagree, but okay.
well, it was hard for me at one time, and I think, uh, one thing that changed one thing I learned is just be myself, and 2, um, when I got involved with things that interest me, then I
Hmm.
started making friends,
Mm.
in that way.
Very, very good
I
point.
I'm as you know, I love spirituality.
Hmm.
So when I, became a part of spiritual discussion groups, I started making close friends, that way, not intending to. I didn't
Hmm.
go into it with that purpose, but, that just naturally
Very good
happened. So
point.
things that interest me, a lot of people I remember, some people I know, I don't know if they made friends this way, but so a guy I just ran into from one of my spiritual discussion groups,
Hmm.
he used to do meetup groups a lot. He used to go to like movie and a dinner from
Yeah.
meet groups a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. I had gone to a few this year, actually. Um, and, I think the reason is because, again, while, like you said, I definitely feel like, it's not for friends necessarily, but it is for um, closer business networks for me. And that was the idea behind why I thought let's try some meetup groups. So I did go to one or two, but there's one in particular that I would go back to because I enjoyed. one, what it's all about. Every time they meet, they go to a nice, beautiful, different restaurant, and it's like a treat for yourself. So it's not necessarily, it's like a 4 star or above, or however they say it. And so it's kind of like you're meeting and you're treating yourself to a good meal with a good group of business women. And so it was really good, but I could see over time, it's while it's a business group, the women were friendly enough to where, you could certainly keep seeing them and grow some kind of friendship relationship with them. So I think the meetup groups are a great idea too for something like that. Like if I were new in town, that absolutely would be perfect. I haven't been able to get back just because things going, on with my schedule. But meetup groups are awesome. I think that's a good way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And, you know, I want to also mention that sometimes I will turn to a friend for a different reason. And something that always sticks out for me with you is this must have been 2020 when I had my dog Bailey. And I was at the vet, and this was like a few days before Bailey passed, and I had gone to the vet, on a Saturday morning, and I'm just thinking they're going to fix whatever the problem is.
Mhm.
And then they're like, no, he's not doing well. He
Mhm.
is going to pass away. And I'm waiting it was the pandemic. So I'm out in the car. And
Right.
so I've made 2 phone calls. I think I called Tanya,
Mhm.
and Tanya doesn't care, so I could say her name. I'm not going to say the name of the other
Oh,
I
okay.
called, but I called 2 friends, and they just were not like, I don't know. I wasn't getting what I needed. I was so like upset. I was just,
I was still upset. So you didn't give me what I needed.
yeah, I was whatever they said. I was just like, I just was not getting what I needed.
Yeah.
And so I called you, and you were just so loving, and you were like, because it was early, it was like 8:30 in the morning.
I
So,
remember
I
this
don't know
too.
who's going to be
Yeah.
up or answer the phone or, whatever. And you were just like, I was like, this is what I need. I need, you know,
Well, first of all, I know how you are with your dogs. I can't even explain it why, but I mean, I could feel the hurt that was in your voice. And when you think of everything else that was going on around us, it was
yeah,
like the absolute worst timing of all times for you
yes,
to be losing anything. It's your companion. We're going through this madness. So,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And I live closer to you, so I got to deal with it if you get it together.
Exactly. Right, right, right. Let me move you on through
It's
this.
like, come on, girl.
Yes, because you were just like, I'm so sorry. I know that's hard, John Bailey. It's just like,
I miss Bailey. He was such a calm Shiloh.
listen, I was thinking earlier, because ladies and gentlemen,
Shiloh is the
Lanada,
dog that she has now that is, whoa,
that's so
not
yes.
Bailey.
Lanada and her husband Todd have taken care of Shiloh before, and they act like Shiloh is something, but Shiloh is so chill. Like other people are like, they're like, if
let's
anything, they think he keeps to himself, which he does. If
let's move on.
anything, they say that, But I mean, don't rub him wrong because he'll
Right.
growl at you. But that's only because he's trying to get acclimated.
Oh,
So,
girl, that boy, hey, man, that man, that dog has known us for years now. He should be well acclimated.
so the other thing I wanted to mention is, with friends is recognizing uh what friends what setting they'll be comfortable in, because I'm thinking of
Mm,
my friend Stephanie, and Stephanie doesn't always
that's a good point.
want to be around a lot of people,
Yeah,
so it's just not her vibe.
right.
So,
And
something
maybe it's good for you to keep that in mind so we're not putting them in the wrong setting as a
exactly.
friend.
And
That's really important.
but what I love also, so yeah, it's great to be thoughtful about that with
Right.
her, but it's also great that she can tell me, "No, I don't wanna come.
Okay.
No, that's too many people for me. I don't
Right.
think so. Let's just on another occasion, you and I'll get together."
Got it.
And it's fine for her to say that. I'm not offended. I
Mhm.
prefer her to say that.
Yeah.
So, to just have that friendship where you can just be frank, and, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's such a good point because I have things I want to say, but let me say this first. That's such a good point because, it's like, and sometimes, maybe not all women are like this, of course, but because women or our hormonal stuff that goes on with us, we get our feelings hurt a lot, and sometimes we take things personal when it's not really meant to be personal, or when it's just the personality of that friend that we're not taking into consideration, right? And so being a good friend is also being able to let that friend be who they are, say what is on their mind at the time, even though it may not be what we want to hear or something we like, but knowing that that's that friend's opportunity to be heard about however it is they feel or whatever, and then be able to just okay, we can talk about it, we can address it if it needs to be further addressed or whatever, but snap right back to okay, so it's cool,
Mhm,
you
mhm,
know,
mhm,
and that's allowing a friend to kind of feel comfortable within the friendship, you
mhm.
know. So do we give our friends enough room to be comfortable within the friendship and be who they are, feel heard, because sometimes for some people that's the only place they can be heard,
Right,
even if they're in
right.
a relationship, sometimes they may be in a situation where they don't feel like they can be heard, but with my friends I can always, now that's a whole different situation, needs to be worked out, but
Yeah,
let's just say that is the case, and that may be the only safe place for them
yeah,
is within that friendship.
yeah.
So I think also, we can't forget that element of friendship as well. But the
Mhm.
other part of what I was thinking about as we're talking about this friendship and how we see things is men see things, they deal with friendships so differently. Like
Yes.
what we're sharing here, I could just see guys on the side, like all this, like feelings, stuff like that. Like they're just so different.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's interesting. You should have a episode where the guys come on and the women come on, and we actually see the differences in how that's done. Because their idea of friendship and how friendships, they it's just totally different.
yeah, and I do think that not all, but a lot of men, that I know, whether it's family or friends,
Yeah,
their circle is very tight.
yeah.
They don't have a lot of I have
Hmm.
one friend that I've known most of my life, well, since I was a teenager, and I can't even get him to, um, contact people he was close with, you know, uh, 20 years ago,
Right.
who I'll be like, "Well, why don't you call them?" No, no, no.
I mean, their need is not like our
Yeah,
need. So their need to hear things or to experience things. I mean,
yeah,
my husband's like that. He has friends since childhood or whatever. They talk ever so often or once a month or what, and it's all good. It's cool.
yeah,
Or one that he's close to, it's a text every now and then. But
yeah,
when they have the conversation, when they do get to talk, it's like an hour or 2 hours because that's their reconnecting and they're good for like
yeah,
another year.
yeah,
you
yes,
know
yes,
no, but his regular circle that he sees often, they have their good close knit thing, and that's cool. So I do think when it comes to men and women, we have a bigger need, I should
yeah,
say, to experience this friendship on a more regular basis than
yeah,
what
that's
they may
true.
have.
That's true. Now, one thing that, now I can edit this out if you want me to edit this out. I was like, I don't know if I could do this podcast, and I'm thinking this in the moment. I'm like, I don't know if I could do this and not bring this up. So,
Okay.
so I can edit this out. Okay. You're like, I don't know
Oh
what she
my
gonna say.
god.
But so there was there is one thing about, like, when you have a single friend and then friends like you and Todd
Mm,
are part of a couple circle,
yeah,
because I would say 2 years ago,
yeah.
I was
I
feeling
already
very
know where you're going.
I don't know that you noticed, though. You might, 'cause I never brought this up, but
Yes, you did, but go ahead.
I did? Well, okay,
Finish it and I can
okay.
tell you.
You're like, "Finish it already." So But I was feeling like super sensitive, like I'm not included. I hear about this stuff. I'm not included. And then, there were times that I got really upset about it. And I talked to Tanya about it. I talked to the guy I was seeing at the time about it. And they were like, well, they're couples, they're married. Like they understand why I would not be invited. And I
Okay.
would just say, I don't agree. It's something I would say, I mean, I don't have to come, but at least ask me, so, but
But see, I think, and this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, the only thing I want to say is that um somewhere in there I got some healing
Mm,
where I became, because it wasn't like um anything changed. The person I was seeing was out of town and that relationship ended.
okay.
But so it wasn't like, oh well, I got somebody, or I mean, I was still single, but
Okay.
somewhere in there I got some healing, and it wasn't an issue for me
Okay.
anymore. So, but
Mm,
you know,
yeah. Well, thanks for sharing it, first of all.
I don't think I'm the
I
only one on the planet who, because there's a
No.
lot of us single people walking around here.
Yeah, but that I think brings up a conversation probably that, it's good to have that when you do have friends, and we are talking about like the groups and separating sometimes the groups, is because, and in addition to what we were just mentioning beforehand, was that putting a friend in a position where they might be uncomfortable. I think that may happen sometimes when it comes to couples and your single friends, is that um, sometimes people, and many times people do feel left out or a certain way when they're in a situation where there are all couples. And I would never want to put anybody in that position to feel uncomfortable or or certain sadness or anything because they're sitting around a bunch of couples when they're not with a couple, they're not a couple, you know what I'm saying, or they're single. So a part of me feels like, well, one, that might be it, and then there were some other dynamics in that situation
Yes,
too that
true,
you're
true,
familiar with.
true. Yeah.
So that was another dynamic. But then when I was going to say, well, who are you with? Because usually when you're with someone, then that's the opportunity to say, well, okay, well, come on then, because heck, we've been waiting for this so we can all, be in this couple group together. So, uh, but that's kind of been challenging
Yeah,
on this end.
yeah.
So it's just, I think there's a couple of dynamics there. I thought you were going to reference the time with the trip,
The trip.
when
Oh,
the
that trip,
birthday trip, that trip,
the birth
another conversation,
birth
another podcast, the bourbon trip, Kentucky trip.
Oh, well, you did invite me on that trip though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but there and something else was going on too that was just so different. But I was so nervous that before it happened, that how is everyone going to feel? Wow,
Mhm.
yeah. So that was kind of a nervousness too because I wasn't even just sure how everyone was going to feel or take it. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
don't want to even be in that situation myself of feeling
yeah,
nervous about having to pull people together and it's around. Now, if
right.
it's a bigger group and there are single people there, and then I don't. That's different. I don't care about that. But if it's a trip or something where it's just couples and the situation is new, even and there's someone, then that's a different
Yeah,
dynamic.
and it's understandable, I understand, I guess now, but
Crying, no more right.
but, yeah, I mean, don't get me started, I might start crying, but I I'm just
But I think again, back to what we were saying about, and this part can be edited back in or not, but um, it's just having the openness. I think we've always had that, even if it's not at that time, it's at some point where we can talk about and share it. It don't have to be on the podcast or not, but you know what I'm saying, where how you're feeling about a certain situation. You've always been freely open to as you deal with it. I think usually you're probably going to process it first within yourself, and then you're going to come at some point and share. I just have to tell you how something made me feel. And then a good friendship is being able to share that, listen to the person, address it, and then, that's a good friendship. And then let's talk about it. And
yeah,
then it's like, okay, we're all good. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that is, to me, is a really good, healthy friendship, is what I should say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, you're a really good friend. I mean, we're more than friends. We're like
Mhm.
sisters.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how that
Sometimes
happened.
my
That's
mother asks, "How you doing?" before she says hello. Just kidding, mom. But
no,
for the most part, you're like the second thing.
but I don't know when that
I love
happened. It
you.
just happened, you know? It just
What do
because
you mean when? We're not going to talk about 8 years, but yes, it's happened.
no, I'm saying I don't know at what point. Like, so we met, we became friends, we
I
met
think it was
your
instantly.
husband, and
I
then
can't even. I
you know.
think I just can't even
So
remember a
this is
time when
where
we were
we're
not.
not going to go into the banter because I'll be like,
No,
no, it wasn't, and you'll be like, yes, it
no,
was.
we're not.
So,
I mean, in all honesty, when you look back, it was like instantly. I
mhm,
don't remember a time when we were not because I
yeah,
remember the meeting you and then just from there on, it was just
yeah,
to your early birthday parties and it was just immediately.
right. And I
Yeah.
should
And
say,
he says it all the time because he says I snatched you from
yeah,
him.
well, I was just getting ready to
It's
say
like
that your husband Todd was my friend, and you two met, and I think it was his birthday, and at a restaurant, it was a
mhm,
party,
mhm,
and so I was going to meet you. And Todd was my boss at one time, and then we became friends later. And
mhm.
so I went there thinking I was not going to like you. And so I was just like, I don't
Who would ever think something like
I
that?
don't
Let me
know. I don't know.
clearly they don't know
You
me.
know, I just walked in there with doubt. And so then I met you and I liked you instantly. I liked you instantly.
Ditto,
It was
ditto.
super cool.
I
So
did too, but I was like, okay, what's the deal between you and her first? I because I ain't trying to be
yeah,
friends. No, what's
we
the deal?
right, we had to go through that for a few
We
years.
sure did.
Like nothing ever.
Stop playing with me because I ain't trying to be her friend. And we're getting close now. He's like, I know, because she doesn't call me. She calls you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, well,
So,
I
what's the spiritual questions? We answered those, right?
no, we have not
Do
answered
you have
the
some more?
I didn't ask you. I only asked you one
Okay, before we
spiritual.
go to the spiritual question, I'm gonna get more. I guess let me do one more deeper one with it because we've been talking about friends. Is there anything else you think other people might want to know about friendship that may be listening to this? Like, is there anything else?
I think forgiveness is big. I think forgiveness is big.
That is a really good one.
Yeah.
What do you mean by big? Like, in what way? Being able to forgive a friend, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I was trying to think, and I'm positive there's something I'm not remembering, but I was trying to think of when that came into play, within a friendship. I do have a friend who broke off our friendship, and I can't believe that it was so many years
Mm-hmm.
that we went without being friends. Because it almost feels like no time has passed. But
Mm,
it was a number of years,
yeah.
and then she came back and wanted to be friends again, and I wanted to be friends again, and I didn't really feel a need for an apology,
Mm-hmm.
but she apologized, and it wasn't even I didn't even feel a need for an apology. I was just like happy that we were friends again,
Oh,
and
cool.
she
So
was going through
it's a friendship now that's still
yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And, but I was trying to and when I say an apology, only the apology wasn't like she did anything. It was just, for breaking off the friendship.
Yeah, yeah.
And, but I'm trying to but I think that forgiveness period, I think is a big deal. And, uh, I had a friend I had a friend, from when I was, a teenager into
Mhm,
my 20s, and I did something to
mhm,
ruin this friendship.
mhm.
And our families were friends.
Oh,
And when I say families, I mean our moms were friends. And um, I would have never thought that this person would not be in my life. Her daughter, she had a toddler, at the point that our friendship broke off.
mhm,
And, that was like the 90s
mhm.
and early 90s. And so, um, we haven't become friends again. And I've never I think we talked on the phone once, but it
Mm-hmm.
was like very briefly. I think she called me to let me know that her father had passed,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a a brief phone call,
Yeah.
and but it's life is so short.
Yeah.
When I think about that person, I think life is too short
Mm-hmm.
for the nonsense. And it was me. It was my actions that
Mm-hmm.
caused the friendship to break off.
Okay.
And uh and so actually Tanya um and her were both in the same city.
Mm-hmm.
Tanya was on a work trip and she was on a work trip, and they had uh dinner, and I said, "Well, did she bring me up?" And Tanya was like, "Oh no, no."
Yeah.
But I see,
You wanted to be talked about.
well, I mean, see,
Yeah.
well, so her brother, and I might stay in touch, or he might come to Atlanta. I might run into him or something, and
Yeah.
I'll ask how he's doing. Or I ran
Yeah.
into her mom in the airport in DC once. This was right after my mom passed, and we talked,
Yeah.
and so, but all of that, my whole point is that life is too short. Like, I never would have thought that this person would not be in my entire life,
Right.
the time
Right.
that we met until the time I leave this earth,
Yeah.
you know?
I
So,
agree.
yeah, life's
Well,
too short
I
to
think
take friends for
I agree with you said to take
granted.
friends for granted. Yeah, completely agree. I had a similar situation, not to that one, but the first one, and had been out of touch with a friend, someone I considered a friend, and we were out of touch for some time. I feel like it was just um, it was time. We can't get back, but I wish we didn't waste that time with the friendship. But sometimes a lot of thought is needed when something goes wrong, and sometimes you don't have all the details, or you don't know the entire situation, or whatever the case may be. But I think in the end of the day, I think that I feel like with anything or any situation, um, communication, forgiveness, trust, sometimes a very building of trust, all of those things, you can get that back, but you just have to want to. For one, it takes a desire to want to do that. And sometimes when you're going on with your life, that's just that, even that is an effort, right? Because your
Yeah,
life, you got other things in your life, so that's an effort that you have to decide if you really want to make in order to rekindle a friendship. But it's still good sometimes to have those things be in play, and regardless of how you decide to move on or not. But I agree that that life is too short. It is too short, and some friendships are worth the effort to do that with. I mean, personally, depending on how valuable it was to you in the first place. But you have to, so maybe do some kind of thought process for yourself to see if that's a friendship worth, rekindling for yourself or not, based on where you are in your life at that point. So,
right, right. That's so true.
yeah.
So true. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a rekindling. It's just could be like, look, you meant something to me. You're where you are in your city. I live where I am, but the I was thinking about our friendship, and
How
you
much it meant to me. Sometimes it's good just to leave, just to know that, from two people. So
absolutely
that's good maturity, and that's good friendship. That's being a good friend on both sides to two people. That's each other, both of us being good friends to say, the friendship meant a lot, and whatever at that point.
right, right, right. So,
Okay.
um, when do you most feel the presence of God these days?
These days, I feel like he's always up there looking at me like, okay, now, girl, what you gonna do now? Like, what you gonna do about this? Mm, definitely in my mornings, I think my morning times are just like my whispers of him, again, just putting me in a mindset of how to approach my day. Um, and, I can't devalue at all, my walk time, the times that I walk, and I'm in the midst of nature. That to me is just like total connection with God and all that He is and all that He does. It's just my time when I'm walking, and I'm
Mhm.
just in that mode of just appreciating, a bird that flies by, or a ripple in the lake, or just anything like that. I just can't take any of that for granted because I'm able to see that,
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
be at that moment and be in His presence of
Yeah.
His creation.
I ask people this question of what do you think God calls you to do for you and yourself through your work?
Hmm.
And people tend to focus on the for did I just say you and yourself? What do you think God calls you to do for you and others through your work?
Okay.
And so a lot of people will focus on the others.
Mm.
So what do you think God calls you to do for you through your work? As you're working and you're serving others through your gifts and your talent and your craft, what do you think God is calling you to do for you in that
Through my work. Okay.
in that
In
process?
that process.
Mm.
Well, He has definitely given me, I think, over the years, more. I'm going to just mention this again. I just mentioned it, but more of an appreciation again for nature. I mean, to where I almost always want to be in some form of nature. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like bugs. I don't like certain things, but where I can experience plants and, again, birds. I love birds. I literally see myself at some point like starting to become a bird photographer, for photographer, or a bird watcher or something like that. I just love looking at and learning about different birds. But I think it's because, one, again, I'm a firm believer of the benefits of biophilic nature and what, again, that does. And I talk about this a lot. And so, natural light and things like that these are things that I intentionally get up every day and seek out because
Mhm.
of what it can do for me. And that way I could speak on it better, what it does for other people. But I think I have grown to appreciate these things more, and therefore see God in a bigger light and a bigger way, in my life. And it's almost like, even though there are sometimes, my schedule's so busy where I may even forget to, or don't even eat till like a later part of the day, or, it's just something like that. There's always this, like, it's like this little ticking of like a time clock, because it's like something I got to get to, and I got to get to that peaceful moment where I can get a little bit of this in my life. So it's almost like there's this, yeah, waiting room, for
Mhm.
me, of a relaxing piece, a moment that I need to get to throughout my day at some point. And when I don't get to it, because some days maybe I forget to do that pause and that moment to think about it, it does affect my day. But I wake up the next day and I remember that how I was the day before, and why, and I know that because I didn't connect in that way. But to me, that's something that God has enlarged, a view of, over the past few years. I don't think that I had that before, but I have it now, and I yearn for that every day.
Yeah, that's
It's,
beautiful. A waiting room of peace.
Mhm.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Have you experienced a blessing or miracle recently that you can share? If not, no problem. But I mean, something where you were like, this is just completely God.
I think I just have it. I mean, every time I can get there,
Yeah.
I feel that when
Yeah.
I have that in my day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. I try and get it more than that these days, but if I get it for 10 minutes, that's, to me, it's like a drop of a gift
Yeah.
from God of just peace. It's just beautiful, and I think that the more that you seek that out, you look for that and make that an intentional priority of your day, it's like less things really bother you. Like you really do push out more of the darker things in your life. Like you really do. And I feel that, yeah, like things that used to really piss you off, it's like you just don't even, it could be energy. You don't feel like you even have the energy or the bandwidth, but
Right.
you don't even want it in your presence because it's just not for you.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that speaks to healing,
Mhm.
at least for me, like I'll know that, okay, I'm healed in this place because
Mm. That's a
that
really
used
good
to
thing.
really agitate me. And I
Right.
don't feel that agitation now. Yeah.
Good. Very good. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how can people get in touch with you if they want to see your work or they want to reach out to you about your interior design services?
Well, I am at bedecors.com. That is my website. It gives you pretty much all you need to know to get started with anything reaching out wise. But you can follow me on Instagram, which is at b.e.decors. Now, those are probably the two main ways.
Well, all right, Lanada.
All right,
Thank,
Adrian.
thank
I
you so much.
enjoyed it as usual.
I
Yep.
did too. It's been like a year and a half since you've
That's it, one.
been on, and that was when it was a group of us. So,
Oh, that's right. Oh my God. You're
yeah,
right.
so thank
Well,
you so much.
yeah, well, I'm again, I always want to encourage you in what you're doing because I think this is truly your element. So I'm very proud that you have kept this up and you kept going and you do great topics and you don't put it down. You look for the next topic and the next topic. And even if it pleases, you know what I mean? It makes you feel happy that you want to talk about this. And I just want you to know that we see you and we are proud of you and you keep it going and those of you that are listening continue to make comments and pump her up, so leave some positive comments so she knows that you're listening, one,
I
and that
do know.
she's doing the right thing.
I
So for
do
the
know.
listeners, I want them to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And there's more to come. I've got like 3 podcasts coming,
Awesome. Good.
3 different series. So
Okay.
thank you so much, Lanada
Thank
Duncan.
you. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can see and listen to Let's Start Healing on traditional platforms wherever you get your podcasts. You can get in touch with me at on social media, and you can also email me at let's start healing podcast at gmail.com. Until next time, let's start healing.